Okay, so this is my second client for 14.2 design and exercise programs. My first client, well, the client is Archie Hall. He's 27 years old. He's a computing engineer. His medical background is he's malnourished due to he doesn't eat proper meals and he snacks mostly. His barriers are that he works night shifts as the computer engineer and sleeps through some of the day. He is, however, interested in boxing, but also has sleep deprivation due to his occupation. So, client targets for him: short term, he wants to spar for a minute. Long term, he wants to put on weight and build muscle and his bone strength due to his malnourishment. And then he wants to spar for 3 minutes. So he's told me about his interest in boxing. I feel in order to keep him active and healthy, it's a good idea for him to keep a hobby going. So agreeing on basing the target around boxing. Over the program, I may put skill-orientated activities, and after the first 3 weeks, I could do a sparring session to see if Archie can last a minute for the short-term target, as it will show me that he's increasing his physicality as well for the other long-term target. For the long-term targets, I want to see Archie put on weight and grow muscle so he's able to compete in boxing competitively and hopefully spar for 3 minutes. And then I can test to see if he has built his muscle by lifting weights that will grow heavier over the test to see if he can press this. Yeah. So for week 1, the RP Archie will be using will be in between 1 and 20, what he's comfortable with. So on Monday, the warm-up for each session won't change much over the weeks. Only when I change the specific muscle group that he will be needing to stretch. I may very slightly progress the time and RP of which Archie will be on a treadmill. For instance, as he becomes fitter and his body will need to be ready that extra bit more. As Archie will be working out with weights on his arms, I will firstly warm him up with a pulse raiser, such as a light jog on the treadmill for around 2 minutes at an RP of 8. Then I will move on to Archie doing PNF stretches on specifically his arms, just so that he isn't susceptible to pulling any muscles, seeing as he is working specifically on these arms. For the exercise to start it, I will think that Archie should start by bicep curling, 4 kilograms on each arm with 8 repetitions each, as Archie hasn't got the physical strength yet to manage anything huge on its first day. This will give us a base in which to build on and let Archie lift bigger weights with longer repetitions over the next weeks. He would then move on to the test where Archie would lift heavier barbells each time in order to see how far he can push himself at the moment. He will start off with maybe a 20 kilogram deadlift and moves on 2 kilograms each time until he can lift no heavier. To cool down after working his arms for the whole workout, we need to get rid of his lactic acid levels in his arms, and we'll do this just by a few static arm stretches. Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday are rest days at the moment, as it's still early in the program, and I've already had some overload into the week. Any more may push Archie into early injury. Also need to take into account how he doesn't get much sleep, so in these early stages I need to make sure that he's getting enough energy. Thursday, to warm up after working the arms on the Monday, I want him to work his legs, so he should be doing 2 minutes on the treadmill to ready his legs and do some dynamic stretches to supple his legs so he doesn't cause any injuries. To exercise, he should work Archie. I think we should start by using the resistant bands. He should do 5 repetitions of adduction and abduction movements when laying down and do this at an RP of 10. Charlie should then do squats and lunges. This is good to increase leg strength, as later on in the program I can add medicine balls and dumbbells to make it a bit harder. I'm not going to add these. He's going to do these without the weights for now. He isn't ready to push himself yet. An RP of 10 is suitable right now for this, and he should do 5 repetitions of each. To cool down, he should, as he's been working his legs, he need a light jog to reduce his heart rate and ease the lactic acid levels away, by also doing some static leg stretches. For week 2, Monday, Archie again will be working specifically on his arms. He will copy the warm-up from last Monday's session by participating in a pulse raiser, light jog on the treadmill for around 2 minutes at an RP of 8. Then moving on to the PNF stretches on specifically his arms, just so he isn't susceptible to pulling any muscles, seeing as he's working specifically on the arms again. However, I've also added a body core part to the workout where Archie will be working on his abs, so he will also be needing to dynamically stretch them too. So to exercise, he managed 8 repetitions of 4 kilogram weight bicep curling, so I hope to slightly progressively overload him onto doing 5 kilogram weight, but still doing 8 repetitions, as I don't want to push him too hard. He also did the test last week, the strength test, and I've replaced that with him doing some basic press and sit-ups I'd like for him to do 10 repetitions of each at an RPE. I can also increase the difficulty of these press and sit-ups by adding a medicine ball when he does sit-ups, and use resistant bands when doing press-ups. He can make the resistant band tenser when he wrapped around him to cause a force against him. And then to cool down, he should dynamically stretch his arms and his body core muscle groups. Thursday is going to be another leg workout. It's suitable for him to work for 3 minutes on the treadmill at an RP of 8, then move on to dynamically stretching his legs. As last week, Archie did 5 repetitions, adducting the resistant bands, as I feel that was a less challenging workout and a more of a way for him to just get comfortable working out. I feel he should be able to do 10 repetitions now at an RP of 10. And then Archie can do his squats and lunges, but I will not add the weights just yet. But I feel I should increase the repetitions of the squats and the lunges to 10 each, but keep the RPE at 10. To cool down, he just needs a light jog and statically stretch, so he's just making himself less susceptible to injury. So for week 3, Archie's warm-up will work on the treadmill for 2 minutes at an RP of 8 and then move on to PNF stretching his arms. For his bicep curl, I would like for him to increase the weight he's curling to 8 kilograms, which is an increase of 3 kilograms from last week. This now means he has increased the weight he has curled each time he's done this session, and has increased it each more. For the press and sit-ups, I'd like for Archie to do 15 repetitions of each at an RP of 12. Then to cool down, he should be dynamically stretching his body core muscles as well as his arms to avoid aches the next day. For the leg workout on the Thursday, he should be on the treadmill again for 3 minutes, warming up, working at an RP of 8, and then finish the warm-up with dynamic stretches. For the main session, I'd like for Archie to increase the repetitions he does with the resistant bands, only by 2, as last week was a big jump in repetitions that would have pushed him hard. Although I'm pushing him again, I'm not pushing him as hard, and it is important that I do this so he does not get injured or physically exhausted. Moving on to the squats and lunges, I think Archie should increase the reps of each to 15, which is a 5 repetition increase from last week, which will help push him on and increase his strength. To cool down, he should just need to have a light jog and statically stretch his legs. Then for Saturday, I've added in, I want him to work out by putting in some skill exercises, and so he can walk towards his sporting goal of sparring and becoming better at boxing. I may not add any more days onto the program, as I feel it is important that Archie can get enough sleep from his lifestyle, as he doesn't get any sleep. He's got sleep deprivation, and otherwise he'll end up coming to the gym exhausted. So to warm up on the Saturday, I decided that Archie should be on the treadmill for 2 minutes, working at an RP of 8. Then dynamically stretch out his body so he's feeling fully supple, as he'll need all major muscle groups when doing today's boxing workout. I've then added for Archie to do skips, as it's a great way to prepare coordination, as it's his first time skipping in the program. I only want him to skip consecutively for 30 seconds. And for the exercise, for the main part of today's session, I want Archie to work the punch bags, working with combos such as jabs, hooks, and uppercuts. He should be working on a minute on the bags for a quick 30 seconds, where he can work at a high RP of 15, so he can get as many punches in as possible. I will then get into the ring with Archie and we'll spar for a minute. Then to cool down, a light jog at an intensity of 8, and then static stretches of his body. Week 4, for today's warm-up, Archie will still work on the treadmill for 2 minutes at an RP of 8 and move on to PNF stretching his arms. For the exercise, I want Archie to bicep curl 10 kilograms, an increase of 2 kilograms from last week. Same repetitions as last week, which is 15, but increase the RPE to 14. To cool down, he should be dynamically stretching his body's core muscles as well as his arms to avoid aches the next day. Thursday, for the leg workout, he should be on the treadmill for 3 minutes, working at an RP of 8, and then finish the warm-up with dynamic stretches. For the resistant band session, 15 repetitions on each leg, which is an increase of 3 from last week. 15 repetitions of the sit and press ups, which hasn't increased, but I'll add a 7.5 kilogram medicine ball for the sit ups. And then I will add an easy tension resistant band around Archie when he does the press ups, just to add a bit of a challenge and a way to progressively overload. To cool down, Archie should just need to have a light jog and statically stretch his legs. Archie will be on the treadmill for 2 minutes and work at an RP of 8. Then he will be dynamically stretching out his body. Then, as I added skips last week, in which Archie skipped consecutive 30 seconds, he should work for 45 this week. For today's session, I want Archie to work the punch bags, working with combos such as jabs, hooks, and uppercuts again. He should be exercising this part of the session for a minute and work at an RPE of 16. I'll then get into the ring with him and spar for an increased minute and 30 seconds. These durations have both increased by 30 seconds. To cool down, a light jog and intensity of 8. For week 5, Archie will work for the warm-up on the treadmill for 2 minutes at an RPE of 8, then move on to PNF stretching on his arms. The exercise, he should bicep curl 13 kilograms, an increase of 3 kilograms, 20 repetitions of the press and sit-ups at the same RPE as last week, which was 14. To cool down, he should be dynamically stretching his body core muscles as well as his arms to avoid aches the next day. Thursday, for the leg workout, Archie should be on the treadmill again for 3 minutes, working at an RPE of 8, and then finish the warm-up with dynamic stretches. The exercise, 20 repetitions on the resistant bands, 5 repetition increase, 15 repetitions on sit and press ups with an 8 kilogram medicine ball, which is an increase of only 0.5 kilograms from last week, but that can be a tough step. Then when Archie does press ups, he will tighten the resistant band a little more than he did last week to add a smaller challenge. To cool down, Archie should just need to have a light jog and stretch his arms statically. Saturday, Archie will be on the treadmill for 3 minutes for this warm-up, which I've increased the time on the treadmill by 30 seconds as I feel his cardiovascular fitness is increasing, and to work at an RPE of 8. Then he will be dynamically stretching out his body for skips. He should work for a minute. To exercise, I want him to work the punch bags, again with the combos I've showed him, such as jabs, hooks, and uppercuts. And we'll be working for a minute and 30 seconds at an RPE of 17. I've increased the time he is working the punch bags by 30 seconds each time and have increased RPE by 1. Then me and Archie will head into the ring for 2 minutes, but next week will be a huge step, but I feel we can manage that. Cool down, light jog, and intensity of 8, and then static stretches of the body. For the last week, on the Monday, today's warm-up, he'll be working on treadmill again for 2 minutes at an RPE of 8, move on to PNF stretching his arms, exercise bicep curl 15 kilograms, an increase of 2 kilograms, 2 kilograms more than last week to progressively overload him. Archie will also go back to his progressive strength test he did on the first Monday to see if he can beat the heaviest weight he achieved the first time, to see he has improved. To cool down, he should be dynamically stretching his body core muscles as well as his arms to avoid aches the next day. Thursday, for the leg workout, Archie should be on the treadmill again for 3 minutes, working at an RPE of 8, and finish the warm-up with dynamic stretches. To exercise, 25 repetitions on resistant bands, another 5 repetition increase, and 20 repetitions on sit/press ups with a 10 kilogram medicine ball, which is an increase of 2 kilograms from last week. Then Archie does press ups. He will tighten the resistant band a little more than he did last week. That's a smaller challenge and tension. Cool down, he would just need to light jog and statically stretch. Saturday, he'll be on the treadmill for 3 minutes to warm up and working at an RPE of 8, then move on to dynamic stretching out his body. For the skips, he should work for a minute this week. Haven't changed the time as there's no need to progressive overload at the end of this week. And then for the final session of the program, he should work the punch bag for 2 minutes at an RPE of 18, getting in as many explosive punches as he can. Then move on to sparring with myself, where he will try to achieve his long-term goal of a 5-minute spar. Finish last cool down with a light jog at an intensity of 8, and then statically stretch his body.